satisfaction in the GMC trainee survey and has done for the last 5 years or more. So they do like our approach, but there are things we can do better. So the most pertinent things, we are just in the middle of recruitment 2017-18, and we are continually being asked about how many students from Cardiff and Swansea have been allocated to Wales, which happened last week. We do not yet have the figures, okay? They are being scrutinised. But this is for last year, and you can see that in the UK we have about 7,600 posts, and each year for the last 5 years we have been oversubscribed at the time of application. So we have more applicants than posts, okay? But unlike previous years, the number of oversubscription is going down, such that every year at the start of the F1 year in August, we are undersubscribed as a country, both Wales and the UK. Last year there were 45 people on the reserve list, which was gobbled up in the first round, and there were 276 unfilled posts across the UK. The prediction for this year is that that number will be higher, and in fact England have already taken out a number of posts, and it is anticipated that we will have between 300 and 400 vacancies. In an attempt to counter that and to ease everyone's woes in that recruitment, the UK FPO are coordinating an approach to recruiting standalone F1 jobs, which have to be doctors with full registration. So we are party to this new process, which will take place in April. We have no idea who will be applying for those posts. There have been roadshows in Europe, but maybe the current climate of Britain's exit may not encourage them to apply. Wales, we have 339 F1 posts. There were 4 Welsh students on the reserve list last year, and we had 9 vacancies in August. Okay, so we're pretty much average in terms of recruitment across the UK. We are not, the ratio of applicants to posts is around 0.9 to 1, which is the same as the majority of foundation schools. A small number have far more applicants than posts. They are based in the southeast of England, London, and Severn. We recruit about 50 to 60% of our local graduates, which is the same as almost everywhere else in the UK, with the exception of Northern Ireland, who seem to capture nearly all their students. So from our point of view, we run an unpaired programme, and so therefore you're appointed to a 2-year, medical students are appointed to a 2-year programme, but they only know their F1 allocation, and then in their F1 year they get to apply for their F2 job. We are, contrary to common belief, we are not the only foundation school that does this. About 40 to 50% of foundation schools offer this, and in fact the last review of postgraduate education recommended an unpaired programme. Unfortunately, the one before recommended a paired programme, and therefore various foundation schools have gone between the two. But we have an unpaired, which is the recommendation, and our F1 doctors prefer that because they have a chance to choose a different range of specialties and a different location. We usually have an undersubscription because we haven't filled in the first year, so we're then going to have less in the second year. But we have run 3 rounds, and over 80% of people are appointed to one of their 8 top choices. By and large, their choice, if this is a careers thing, is based on either location or a particular specialty in their F2 year. But as a matching scheme goes, 85% success in round 1 is pretty good. The people who are unhappy are the people in round 2 and round 3, and we always get people wanting to be reallocated. We do not run a swap shop, which is to our detriment because there are standalone F2 jobs in the rest of the UK, and so if someone isn't reallocated from, say, a remote part of Wales, they tend to apply to a vacancy just across the border in England. We have discussed whether we change that. Reconfiguration, we actually have a Wales Foundation programme as opposed to which is a modification of the UK position. unlike England, which is committed to having a community post in every 2-year rotation by August of this year, we have a slightly different proposal in that our F1s are expected to do medicine and surgery as old PRHOs used to do, but with significant exposure to acutely ill patients in those specialties, and they get a third specialty. In F2, they will either do a community or an emergency medicine post. And then they can do an acute specialty with unscheduled care and a third specialty. So that's been built into our programs. Hopefully they are nearly all in place for this August. That's been a little bit of a hiccup, but that's our plan. So that's the range we offer, and our third specialty can be anything. Okay. Academic. Now, this is where we are perhaps lagging behind. We have had an academic foundation programme at F1 and F2 since 2010, and we run a separate recruitment process for F1 alongside the national recruitment process, and then F2 is within the national scheme. So we don't run a separate scheme for the F2 year, and anyone can apply for an academic F2 job. Okay, there's no restrictions. Academic F1, so we have 7 rotations with an academic element in F1 and the same in F2. This year, for August, we have a number of unfilled posts, and in fact, Wales makes up nearly 50% of the unfilled academic posts. So we're currently going through a process of bids and applications for that. But the bids will need to honour a time commitment, because I think that's one of the elements where people were promised lots of time in academic and then that sort of disappeared as the service element changed. They have to demonstrate their academic output and how they evaluate it. Innovation. So we're keen to do different things with our doctors, and we've tried a number of things and we're trying again. So something very close to my heart has been teaching and having near-peer teachers, and we're running a little pilot at the moment with the GP section of both the deanery and the undergraduate course in Cardiff, and we're hoping to have a number of F2 teachers who will deliver the course to undergraduates and possibly F1 doctors as well. And the aim is to roll that out to a bigger group next year, currently all based in South East Wales, but we have plans to roll it out across the whole of Wales. In fact, there was a lot of interest in North Wales in our forum about doing it in North Wales. And if you want to infuse your foundation doctors, get them involved in teaching. They love it. They really do love it. Quality improvement, we're working with other sections, the quality improvement section of the deanery to implement that. And we've got to look at ways of recruiting to rural Wales and retaining them in rural Wales. I'm sure you've talked about this a lot already and how you do that. But in fact, it's very much about making it attractive rather than the perception at the moment is that people are sent to these places and it's some sort of punishment, which is it's what students who have never been to these places think they are somewhere else completely different in the world. They have relatively narrow minds. Okay? So they need to be broadened. And the last one is the current issue within the deanery is the setting up of Health Education Wales and what that means for us. But from our point of view, I think we do. It is if we can recruit people in from any medical school, we have a chance to retain them. Okay, we do. We don't do any worse than a lot of foundation schools in terms of recruitment, but we are. It's a buyer's market, and until we have an oversubscription and the threat of unemployed medical graduates, we will forever be undersubscribed. So from my point of view and other foundation school directors, we don't mind the idea of having loads more applicants and a number of people who never get placed off the reserve list. Because remember, the reserve list is right at the bottom of the scoring in terms of their EPM and their SJT. And that's probably what I'm going to say, and you can ask me a question.